Soundboard today?
I got it. It's ready. Welcome to the Sports Hangover. I'm Michael Benatar, joined alongside Dawg.
Mike, it's good to see you. I brought the Friday mustache. What do you think?
Well, we talked yesterday. Didn't realize you had a mustache, and then today said, "Did you grow a mustache overnight?" That's how impactful this mustache looks. If you're watching us or not watching us, there's video somewhere. Go on YouTube, go on our Instagram. Go look at Jeremy's mustache, mustachio, whatever you call it. It looks good. It looks very strong. You look like a strong man right now.
Well, it's fooling you, so that's great. The mustache is it's an ironic mustache. I don't think it's a real thing. It's more for fun. I just wonder how my coworkers think of it. We do these Zoom calls all day. Never met them. What do they think of the stash? It's up for debate because I'm not going to ask them and they're not going to ask me.
Is it weird that we do Zooms all day? Do you ever feel like you want to meet these people in real life? Because I recently just met somebody. No, there's somebody that I recently just met that I Zoomed with for 2 years. And I just met them and I felt uncomfortable. I felt like I knew them, but also weird because you're like, oh, this is you. Like the proportions and the height and you all of a sudden see these people in real life. It's kind of jarring a little bit. You're like, oh, okay, that's how you really are. Not that 20 minutes I see you on Zoom.
Well, we have the best chemistry of anyone we know because we've been doing a podcast for 10 years. Yet you put us in a room and it's not right. It's not something's not right. And we feel fine with each other, but doing a podcast or talking in a meeting, it feels better on Teams or Zoom. And I think all these companies like Zoom stock is going crazy and Microsoft is doing it and Google's got it. All these tech companies, it's going to be crazy. Microsoft is working on holograms now where you can stand up in the room and you'll see your whole body, which might solve for the height problem. Because I don't know how tall anyone is that you Zoom with.
I don't know if you care how tall anybody is because it is very jarring.
But it's in detail. It's a real thing.
Once you see your future coworkers in person, you're going to be a little shocked. They might be shocked by you too. Be like, holy shit, what is this guy doing? He's got a giant beard, a mustache on.
Well, I don't know why I keep on. They don't see the rest of it. So that makes a good point. We weren't planning to talk about this, but the future of work. You've been working from home for years. I've been corporate America for years, the opposite of you. What's the future? Because we see Spotify and Salesforce saying, no, just do what you want. You have your laptop, work from anywhere, and then people are moving to Tulum, Mexico, and awesome places. What does it all look like?
I think that's the advantage. If you have work and you work only online, I think you have to take advantage of it or you're going to go crazy, right? Because for me lately, I had to get out of the house a few days just to go work somewhere, just to switch it up because it gets monotonous. You're doing the same thing every day. Sometimes it feels like you might be in a prison, you can't get out. Oh my God, I'm here, but you can. But you definitely need that switch up. So I think having a routine of doing something outside of the house is mandatory because that's the hard part because we've been on lockdown. You kind of got used to just sitting around doing nothing. The future of work is working wherever you want, but you have to make sure you really plan in whatever you want to do. When you work out here, Jeremy, we have to go out and do something after you get out of work so we don't go cuckoo and just sit inside all day.
You have to separate the work day from the relaxing evening or else it all becomes one and you're doing emails at 8:00 at night. It's not right. Now, obviously I'm doing it right. I'm taking advantage. Like you said, I'm nomadic J-Dog. I've been homeless now for 6 months, Mike. We don't talk about this enough on the podcast. No. I keep my dirty clothes in a trash bag and someone called me out for it. I'm like, I'm homeless. That's what's happening right now. We're just taking advantage of the situation.
Have you done anything different, laundry wise? Do you notice you're wearing the same t-shirt or jeans multiple days in a row now because it doesn't even matter really?
Yeah, it's like the Marie Kondo. I really simplified things. I have 3 hats and 6 shirts and 3 pairs of shorts, and we just rotate. We don't do a ton of laundry. We just we're just comfortable in what we're wearing because who cares?
It doesn't matter. All right, let's get into some stories. I just wanted to bring this up. This is not a big story, but your Tampa Bay Raptors, future NBA champions, are the team spreading. They're responsible for, quote, many new positive COVID-19 cases across the league because they might be hanging out. They might be loving Florida a little too much.
Well, we know the COVID is strong in Florida. We've known that for the last year. Yet the cases aren't that much worse in California, which has been shut down for a year. So you can debate the politics of all that. I know you're recalling Gavin Newsom or some shit like that.
Yes, he's getting out of here. Recall GavinNewsom.com. Go recall him right now, okay?
And that's as Ron DeSantis, the Florida governor, becomes like number one in all the polls for Republicans for 2024. So the two ends of the spectrum. Yeah, if you're going out to the bars and restaurants in Tampa, you probably are spreading COVID around. And that makes sense because a lot of other NBA cities are a lot more shut down than Florida. But it's weird because the Raptors are supposed to be safer in Tampa than Toronto, yet Canada seems to have things under control much more than we do.
Well, it was all about that travel too, right? They had to like travel the team. They wanted them in the US, so it's a lot easier for border and whatever. But it is kind of funny that they're in Florida. They're probably loving it. It's wintertime. They're probably one of very few teams that are able to go outside other than Orlando and Miami. But
the weather's been great. I have a few NBA topics here. So we're going to get to Deshaun Watson in a second. I have a great thought on Deshaun Watson, just a couple minutes away. Let's talk about the NBA for a minute.
You Blake Griffin. Wait, we haven't had it. News.
Mike, we're at the point you surprised me when the drops are working.
Okay, here they are. The iPad's charged up. It's ready to go. It's not in the bathtub, so we're good.
Okay, good. So Blake Griffin is a free agent now in the middle of the season in February. And so it got me wondering, Blake Griffin used to be good, but if a team is going to release you in the middle of the year, like can't even trade you, you must not be very good anymore. So the first question is what happened to Blake Griffin that he's now irrelevant and a free agent in the middle of the season?
Isn't it something similar to when these guys become superstars, they get paid, and then you kind of have to move them to save some salary cap, right? So you have to move them away, get them out of here. We're going to send you to Detroit. We're going to send you to the bottomless pit of the NBA. We're going to go to the Pistons. No one's going to know about you. No one's going to care about you. And at some point, you just give up. Because if you were sent to the worst... Sure, Detroit.
From LA too. Like you're the better comparison here. You've been enjoying LA prior to the last year for 10 years. You go to Detroit. How does that make you feel?
I would say I would be slightly depressed, and maybe you just stop caring because, like, at what point? And he's also kind of old, right? He's getting a little older. Does it really matter?
Old as in our age old? Are we?
Yeah,
old?
but listen, we both wake up with some back pains. Last night we were playing poker with our friends. You weren't on the call, but we all started talking about our ulcers. Literally, the 4 out of 6 of us had ulcers.
You guys all have ulcers.
Our big friend Bob had one. Our lawyer friend had one. Everybody. It's just insane. So
it's probably because of all the drinking that happened 10 years ago, though.
Yeah, so just if you're a kid listening to this, don't drink too much, or just don't
drink late. 7 nights a week. Try like 5.
Yeah, 5, that'd be good. That's better than 7, I guess. But yeah, it does. I know, I can't even believe it. I can barely drink one night a week now, and I give a terrible.
Two glasses of wine, I get a headache.
I would just say when you are that old, not that old, but NBA old, superstar athlete old, there's a big fall off, right? Even Michael Jordan tried coming back and playing, and it was not the same thing. So I think for him, he went there, cut him. Obviously, might save him some money, or just like, who cares? Don't pay him anymore. Just get him out of here.
Well, he's a free agent now, so he might join the Nets, the superstar team. It's just interesting that I think you're onto something there with LA to Detroit is like the worst transition you can make. Like the opposite of that is Detroit to LA, and you probably ball out and have your best season ever. Like if LA can just acquire someone from the Midwest every year, they're going to have the best mindset ever. So that's a great idea. I looked at the standing. I just looked at the standings, Mike. Can we just play a little game of who's playing well? Like, can you name a team in the NBA off the top of your head? Like, who's playing well?
Don't make me do this. I have this here. I have a burning question bet. I don't think we ever play this on the show. Okay, go for it.
Mike, who's playing well in the NBA?
Who's playing well? Well, I know my Nets are playing well, possibly, because I did bet on them. Sportsstradamus predicted they would win the championship this year. I would say maybe the Lakers. I heard Anthony Davis might be out.
The Lakers are third in the West. They're certainly not dominating, but you're onto something there. The Jazz are the number 1 seed in the West. That's surprising. Don't know who's on the Jazz. Maybe Donovan Mitchell. Maybe not. And then you look in the East, the Nets are number 2. The Knicks are playing well. The Knicks have a winning record, which surprised me. Which if I moved to New York and Andrew Yang's the mayor and the Knicks are playing well, like what a new era. Low rent. Like I feel like New York City's about to pop off here. This could be great.
Do you in any way did being on lockdown with the sports barely there for the year and then kind of coming back in a weird capacity? Do you not have the same routine as watching sports? Because I forced myself this week. I said, I'm going to watch hockey. I'm going to put on hockey. Watched a great Lightning game last night and went into overtime, 3-on-3. Great. Like down to the last second to win the game. I haven't watched sports because there's no routine around watching sports. Like, when do you watch any basketball or hockey or anything right now?
Not at all. I feel like I'm in Gen Z where I just watch like the last 30 seconds on YouTube TV if I get like an alert or I see it, or maybe I'll catch the highlights on Twitter or Instagram, like a 1 minute video of what
those
happened.
Alerts those alerts are good on the phone. They're just like tense game tied with 1 minute left to go. It's like, okay, I'll turn it on and watch it.
Yeah, that's ideal. The app Buzzer is coming out. Someone I know just joined the team at Buzzer, and so they have it's this new app where they're gonna like send you push alerts, and you're gonna actually be able to watch the last 5 minutes of the game. You just have to pay a subscription to get the actual rights to it. So we'll see how that works out. A few teams that aren't playing well, the Rockets, who trading James Harden, not a good idea because they're the worst team in the West right now. And then my Magic. I didn't know this because I haven't been locked in. The Orlando Magic are the second worst team in the East.
Well, I mean, it's not surprising, right? Like, what about the Raptors? What about the Tampa Raptors?
They didn't make my list. They must be in the middle ground. They weren't good or bad, so they're in the middle. But we know they're going to win the championship because they're playing in Tampa.
Of course. I have one quick NBA story. This was a big one. This is for the future of cryptocurrency. Mark Cuban is now accepting Dogecoin.
Dogecoin, not even Bitcoin, not Ethereum. He's all the way down to Dogecoin, which is what, like 3 cents per share of Dogecoin. Is that how that works?
Yeah, I mean, they're very volatile. Like, it goes up to 3 to 4 to 5 cents every once in a while. But honestly, I think it's great. It doesn't matter the currency. It just matters that people want to use crypto to do it. This was a meme coin. I heard an interview with the guy that created this coin. He never thought anything would happen like this. But I think that's the way it should be, right? Like, you want this monetary system to work, have this silly meme coin and make it work. I mean, it's on the blockchain, it's, secure, but there's an unlimited supply. So the volatility is always up there, but I think it's great.
Mark Cuban is always ahead of the curve. We know this, so it makes sense that he's pushing the envelope forward. What can you tell us about NFTs? Because my guy, Jack Dorsey, who runs Square, just bought a music company, and it's a failed music company called Tidal. We're working in a lot of like stocks and businesses and all kinds of stuff in this show.
Well, hold on. I got a BDE for this one if you want to go to it real quick.
Go to it now.
Big Dick Energy. Winner of the week.
My big dick energy of the week is this random guy that I didn't know, Mika Johnson, former MLB player turned artist, just sold $1 million worth of art on Nifty Gateway. He sold $1 million worth of NFTs in 1 minute.
And NFTs are digital art or digital cards?
It's like, I would say an NFT is it's called a non-fungible token, which doesn't even fucking make sense to anybody. But it's like a secure contract. It's a secure contract stating you own this and that is yours. It is attached to your wallet, your code, all this stuff. So it verifies the authenticity of it. Kind of like if you had a Mona Lisa, that Mona Lisa would be verified by art dealers and all this stuff saying, yes, this is an original. And if you had prints of it, maybe the prints are, worth $10, but you have the original, and that's why people are scooping it up. I put some art up there. Maybe I'll put up some original Sports Hangover graphic designs, and we could see if anybody wants some Sports Hangover swag.
I was going to say, we did a lot of photo shoots back in like 2012 when we looked a lot different.
A lot different. Yeah, it's just time has really flown by. Yeah.
Okay. But also Jack Dorsey buying Tidal, the music company from Jay-Z, failed music company, all because they have access to Jay-Z's NFTs as part of the deal. Did you know that?
I did not know that. And what are in his NFTs? What's he got in there?
I don't know, but apparently that's valuable for someone, not me. Hopefully.
I think the NFTs are great for people that want to keep track of their assets as well, because every time, if I sold you the original Sports Hangover logo, the original, back in the day, our 2010 logo, that first edition, if I sold it to you, forever in existence, as long as I have access to my crypto wallet, I will always get 10% of every time it sells. So that's why it's really valuable, because if Jack Dorsey did it, or whoever, or if my boy Mika Johnson kept selling his art, he sells it for the first time. Okay, he sold all, he made $1 million. But if anybody ever else sells it again, he can get 10, 20% of the shares of that sale, which is kind of cool.
Amazing. So physical artwork is dead. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying it's dead. I'm saying physical art is kind of it's like an art collector thing, right? So you want to collect art. So I think there'll be always physical collectors, always be digital collectors. And I think the digital ways going about it, I actually I won my first bid on an NFT last night. And I have to go pay for it with my crypto wallet and all those gas fees and everything. But it's exciting. I'm going to put up some Sports Hangover stuff and we'll publish it on.
Super exciting. Not mainstream yet, but super exciting. Okay, let's get to my Deshaun Watson theory. Mike, okay. I've been racking my brain on this. Why would the Dolphins want Deshaun Watson when you're rebuilding? You have all these first-round picks. You have all this cap space. And you have Tua, the guy who everyone wanted just a year ago until his hip was slammed into the ground. And then we didn't know if he would actually be healthy enough. And then someone proposed it. And it, of course, was Colin Cowherd, the smartest man in sports broadcasting, arguably, questionably asterisk there. But yes, he's very smart. And he said, which QB would you not trade straight up for Deshaun Watson in the whole league? In the whole league, if you took any quarterback, which one would the Chargers trade Herbert? Would the Packers trade Rodgers? I think the answer, Mike, is yes to every single one of them except Patrick Mahomes. And when you consider that idea that everyone would trade their quarterback to the Texans straight up for Deshaun Watson except the Chiefs, that made me rethink the whole position and say, wow, I want the guy who's number 2 in the league, who's young enough, who's athletic enough, who's got the arm. I'm now on board with the Deshaun Watson to the Dolphins thing. He was in Miami last weekend for the Canelo fight. He was on Instagram hanging out with Christian Wilkins, the Dolphins D tackle, who also went to Clemson. I'm feeling it, Mike. I'm here for it. I want the Dolphins to unload all the picks, all the players, whatever they have to do to get it done. I want Deshaun Watson on the Dolphins week 1.
So you sat around, you said, okay, Deshaun, number 2 in the league. Obviously, anybody would trade. Anybody would be like, obviously, this makes sense. He's a talent. But do you think the Dolphins are smart enough to do this? Because that's what the fear is, right? Like, they've done a lot of dumb stuff. The Jets have done a lot of dumb things.
Don't compare them to the Jets. They're not like that.
I know. But the thing, it's weird how dumb a lot of teams are. Like, for instance, I was going to bring up in Bullshit or Believe, J.J. Watt. Like, was that the right move for Arizona? I would say it wasn't the right move because too much money. So
we'll get to that.
But what I'm talking about, Deshaun, he makes sense, but he also has to want to go there, right? Like, this is kind of him forcing himself out. So maybe there could be a deal cut, but yeah, I mean, Miami would be great. Now, if Russell wants out, why don't they just do a swap? What's the big deal?
Russell should want Miami. From what I can tell, they have a house in Miami. Russell and Sierra would be the king and queen of Florida and especially Miami. They would run that town. I just think it makes so much sense. So the two things for the Dolphins that make the most sense to me at this point are, one, I think they made a mistake taking Tua instead of Herbert. And I haven't always said that, but the more you think about it, if you could redraft right now, you're obviously going to take Herbert over Tua. No one's going to say take Tua over Herbert. And it's a way to clean up that mistake. Like, no one ever remembers that mistake if you trade Tua to the Texans. If Tua is not good the next 3 years, that's on your ass and you might get fired. That's one reason they might do it. The second reason they might do it is the last offseason, they signed Kyle Van Noy from the Patriots, this guy who has a ton of sacks every year. They gave him $50 million. They released him this week after 1 year. It was a 4-year deal. So they're clearing cap space. And the idea that you can move on from Tua without being tied to him for the rest of his career, just in case it doesn't work out. 2 great reasons why they might actually pull it off.
So the Texans don't want to trade Deshaun, though. So that's the big issue.
They don't want to, but they need to, right? Like, what are they doing? The Seahawks are answering calls on Russell before the Texans. Like, what is going on here?
Well, maybe the Seahawks might be a little smarter. Be like, all right, well, if we're going to trade him, if this is really an issue, let's see what kind of value we can get.
But that doesn't even make sense. And we can talk about that if you want. Why does Russell want out of Seattle? The guy won Super Bowls there. It's a well-run organization. Pete Carroll's there. He only needs protection is all he needs.
I read a lot about it. It seems like a power struggle. So remember the Arizona Cardinal game? So this is the one pain point that I think really showed up. It was before the Arizona Cardinal game, Russell came into the locker room and he said, guys, I know how to win this game. Listen up. And he totally got shut down. No one wanted to listen. Well, no one. I think the coaching staff. I think the coaching
I'm sure the
staff.
Players would rally around him.
Yeah. So then the report came in that, okay, they're having a little tiff, the power control. Obviously, the Arizona game was bad. I think he threw like 4 interceptions that game. So now it comes down to, will they let Russ cook? And guess what? When they let Russ cook, they could do it. But I think what the team is saying, the coaching staff, this is more than just Russell. Like the whole team has to be involved. So if you're running around with the ball all the time, that's kind of your issue. That's why you're getting sacked and all this stuff. So it's like a power struggle. So obviously this could be fixed. I think Pete, good old Pete Carroll, like he's a cool guy. He can fix it with Russ. I don't think this is a big issue. And Russell came out and said, if I was traded, these are the teams I would go to. And it doesn't seem like this is drama. I think it's getting blown out of proportion. And obviously it's getting trickled down. Like, I heard it from somebody else heard it from somebody. So we don't really know what's going on. I don't think he's going to get traded this year, but I think next year could be a possibility if they don't fix a lot of the issues coming this. But that's the thing. It's like, these are just assets in a way, right? So you have to treat Russell Wilson. We just paid him $100 million, right? $110 million. What do you do with that asset? If that thing doesn't want to be here anymore, not Russell's a thing, but like if you treat them like business assets, like Deshaun, that is an asset that does not want to be there, distressed. You got to get rid of it so at least you can get some value for it. And I don't think anybody's thinking like that. But anybody would take Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson on their team. Literally anybody. Like you said,
literally anybody.
Hey, Raiders, you guys want Deshaun or Russell? Of course. Screw Derek Carr. Like, who is he?
Since we last recorded our show, Russell Wilson gave the Seahawks 4 teams he was willing to be traded to. Yes. They were the Raiders, the Cowboys, the Bears, and the Saints.
Yes.
I don't really understand the list, Mike, because the Bears are a bad franchise with bad quarterback play for as long as we can remember.
And NFC.
The Raiders, John Gruden doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing. So to go from Pete Carroll to John Gruden is a downgrade. And I like the idea of Russ in Vegas, but overall, the Gruden thing is not working.
So what worked, I saw a video of this. There were tons of video of why Russell Wilson wants to go there. If you watch a whole bunch of gameplay footage of Derek Carr, you see the protection on the line. Derek Carr can stand there for 10 seconds and no one will touch him. And I think that's what Russell wants. He wants goddamn protection. Protect Russ.
Isn't that an indication that Derek Carr's not very good? Because if he had all that protection and they're still average every year, they're never even above average.
I wouldn't say Derek Carr is like groundbreaking great, but I think he's good enough. And I think that's why
I don't think he's good enough and they should move on.
Yes, but all right. So basically, that's
so. Then there's 2 teams left. There's Cowboys and Saints, and they make sense. Now the Saints make sense for Sean Payton. They don't make sense because they have the worst salary cap situation in the league. Plus, we just saw Drew Brees pushing sleds in the parking lot with a new head of hair. The guy looks ready for another season in the NFL.
That's the thing. A lot of people were mocking him online, saying, "Hey, are you coming back? Like, what's going on?" So what is he?
Yeah. He had the NBC hair because we know he's joining NBC, so the hair makes sense for TV. But then the workout was intense. Like, you must be coming back. So we don't know, but he looked awful. I don't think.
Do you know what he did as a fellow bald man? Because
I'm obviously reading many manuals about what to do next, but I don't have the cash flow to do what Drew Brees did. He's got a little more than me. So what I'm saying is the Cowboys make the ultimate sense. I've been saying all offseason. Sportsodamus is saying Dak Prescott won't be back in Dallas. There's friction there with him and Jerry, and breaking his leg is not going to help the situation. So what they could do is they could franchise or sign Dak and then trade him to Seattle along with draft picks to get Russell down there. I think it's the best way. If there really is a divorce in Seattle, which I don't understand still, if that does happen, and the Cowboys have a good O-line too, I think that's the most likely spot.
But if they franchise Dak last year got paid $31 million. This year, if he got franchised again, he'd get paid $36 or $37 million. Seems kind of crazy if you sign him to a whatever, not a 10-year deal. Like who signed like Mahomes, signed a 10-year deal for what, $300 million or something like that?
Yeah.
I don't think Dak is that guy, but
we know Dak's going to the Hall of Fame, so I don't know why you don't think he's that guy.
I don't know about that. Also, do we want to talk about our favorite guy, Big Ben? He re-signed. He's back. He's back in action. 2021 Big Ben. He's back on the Steelers.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're bringing him back. He took a pay cut from like 21 to 14 million. They're also in salary cap hell. The salary cap situation is so bad that they couldn't pay J.J. Watt to come play with his brother. So it's a bad situation. They're going to let James Conner walk. They're going to let Juju Smith-Schuster walk.
No.
I think the Steelers are setting themselves up to go 8-8. Ben's going to play half the games. They're going to be like 4-6, and he's going to say, "I'm out of here. I'm too fat to get through the season."
I believe it. I mean, he's going to be in a walking boot. He's definitely going to be injured. This team needs to be blown up right now. They should have just traded him or let him retire. Like Big Ben should have just retired. Make it easy on the team. If you want the team to be
better
successful,
rebuilding right now without him for sure.
Yeah, I agree. That's all I got. I mean,
I have a Scandal City.
All right, let's do Scandal City. I also have talk about JJ Watt too, but where's Scandal City? I'm looking for it. I'm looking for it right now. It's been a while.
Time to dig up the dirtiest stories around the sport world in this week's Scandal City.
I thought this one was good for you. It involves Nike. So the head of North America Nike is this power CEO woman, and her son was actually buying all these like limited edition Nike shoes with like her credit card and her promo code to get like reduced and early access, and then reselling it online. You're a sneakerhead. So, you're the perfect person to comment on this.
This kid was, well, first of all, she was an executive at Nike for 25 years. This kid was making hundreds and thousands of dollars a month from reselling the sneakers. There's photos of him online with, now this room isn't big enough to even show you how many shoes he had, but he had walls and walls and rows of brand new shoes that he's reselling. I hope this helps the reseller market, or even the market where you try to win the raffles, because you can never win them on the sneaker apps.
Yeah.
But it's insane, because I wonder how long this has been going on, and I wonder how many other kids, because you better believe if your dad or my dad or anybody's dad that we know worked at Nike, I would be trying to get some free or cheap or discounted shoes for sure.
Yeah, we wouldn't be slinging hundreds of thousands of dollars of Nike shoes on the side to put our parents' career in jeopardy. I hope, Mike.
I don't think I would be doing that at that volume.
You're not slinging couches.
No, I'm not slinging couches. Maybe I should be, though. Maybe I should go sling some couches.
That's a secret to it. I just felt bad for this woman who worked her way all the way up. You know how throughout the business can be, and she made it to the top of the mountain only for her son to take her down. I do wonder why, it's always hard to judge like parenting, but why she didn't have more of an idea that this was happening, or that he was spending so much, because it was with her credit card, and the way they fired her, I would think that she did know something about it, instead of like just blaming the kid and moving on.
She must have known something, right? Like he had walls and photos on his Instagram of all these shoes. You don't just get those shoes. First of all, it costs a lot of money to buy 1,000 pairs of shoes. You have to have capital to actually do it at first. And then, you can resell them for, a couple $100 extra, because they're always valuable more when they're on, aftermarket. So it is wild.
You're saying your closet doesn't look like the kids. Is that what you're saying?
I wish my closet's not big enough to hold that many shoes. I have to keep like getting rid of shoes or getting rid of Aaron's shoes to keep making more room for my shoes. So
it should be a 1 in, 1 out rule all the time.
Yeah, but you don't want to get rid of them. I have a 1 in, 1 hidden rule. I hide some, so I have them for later. Like keep them in boxes. Yeah, I won't tell her. All right, let's talk about JJ Watt. He went to Arizona. He said, "Oh, free agency's wild. I have to make my decision. I've been on this team for years." Did he not just put himself in the same situation he was in Houston? He's got a quarterback that mobile, kind of good, probably not as good as Deshaun. And I don't know. It's just like a team that doesn't seem like it makes a ton of sense for him to go on. Because wouldn't you want to go on a team that is almost there? I don't think Arizona's almost there. I know you love Kyler Murray, but I don't think he's there.
Well, that's why I disagree with you. I think the issue here is with JJ Watt's performance and inability to stay healthy, and not with the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are set up for success. I think they have the quarterback. They have the offensive weapons with Hopkins. I think it's a great offense with Kingsbury, and he can try to anchor the defense. The problem is he doesn't stay healthy throughout the season. Now, Larry Fitzgerald is moving on, most likely retiring, and it's an opportunity for it to be JJ Watt's team. He can be the leader of that team, considering Murray and Hopkins are younger guys and less experienced than JJ Watt. I just don't think Watt's performance equals $30 million over 2 years. No. So, one, it's a waste of salary cap space, and two, he's not going to play much. And the games that he's not there, what does their defense look like? Because outside of Watt, I can't name many guys. I think Patrick Peterson is moving on this year. I can't name anyone else on their defense.
I can't either. I just don't think it was the right move for him, but maybe if he just wants more money, it kind of makes sense, but it doesn't
Which is weird, because you always wonder why rich people need more money. You think he'd want to go try to win a ring because he's got a couple years left.
Yeah, but I guess what was the difference? Like if you went to let's say he went to the Dolphins, how much of a pay cut would he have to take, or how much would
we didn't want him. We didn't offer him, but a few teams that did. Buffalo and Green Bay were in the mix, and we saw that like on his Peloton, he like changed his profile to say like GB BUF. Like I think he was trolling us. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah. Well,
but those were the teams in the mix.
But all right, so they obviously didn't have the capital to do it, so he had to find the dumbest team to give him enough money to make sense.
You're so critical of the Cardinals because you're a Seahawks 49er fan. That's why, and a Ram fan, I think. So that's why.
once Russ moves, I gotta be. I'm going wherever Russ goes. We're player first here, and wherever Russ goes, I'm gonna be.
It's a player first podcast. We were the Players Tribune before they started.
We're gonna be with the player. So if he becomes the Dolphins quarterback, I'm gonna be there with you, J-Dog. So we're Dolphins fans soon.
That's right. Listen to the folks listening. Thanks. We're wrapping this up, but make sure you subscribe because next week we're doing an NFL free agency preview. There are so many big names heading into free agency. And Mike, they're bringing the salary cap down because of COVID and the loss of revenue last year. There's going to be so many big names released between now and when we record again. We're going to have a big preview of the quarterbacks, the running backs, the receivers, and some predictions on where they're going to end up.
I know we always do our bracket during this time, so let's try to think of a bracket we can put together that's different from everybody else who stole all our bracket ideas. For all everything has been stolen. So we're going to come up with something a little different, and hopefully it's
we were so ahead of conspiracy theories. I mean, there's a whole movement of QAnon since we did conspiracy theories. I mean, we are ahead of the trend all the time.
Sometimes I think we should go harder into it so then we just get looped into those crazies and and then somebody else can throw us out there on some random conspiracy podcast. That'd be good. So follow us at the Sports Hangover on Instagram and go to thesportshangover.com. A lot of swag there. You can't get the Champa Bay shirt, but there's a lot of Champa Bay gear up there, some TB12 stuff, some bucks, all that stuff. It's all up there on thesportshangover.com. If you can go to rest of most reviews, hopefully we are back.